It's my pleasure and my honor. I get the privilege as ASHE President to award the Presidential Medal. And like I said, it's a privilege and it's an honor, I think, of the role of the President to be able to do this, right? And I see some of our past presidents here in the space who know what I'm talking about. And this is the first year that this Presidential Medal has ever been given to an organization. But as I thought about the conference theme and what I hoped would manifest here this week, right? Spanning and unsettling the borders of higher education. Being able to put, as I talked about in my address this morning, our theorizing to work for the benefit and the uplift of communities. I could think of no better awardee than Excelencia in education. The work that this organization, this association does in and beyond the field of higher education is a model for us all of how to be engaged in community, of how to work collaboratively with community partners, of recognizing what the needs are and rallying the forces, as it were. Dr. Santiago is a military brat, so she'll appreciate that metaphor, of rallying the forces to address that need, right? So I'm gonna ask my dear colleague, Dr. Deborah Santiago, who's the co-founder and CEO of Excelencia in Education, to join me to accept this award.
Hi, everyone. And those of you online, thank you, DL. Thank you for thinking of us, for partnering, collaborating with us. I remember the phone call we had where Margarita Benitez introduced us and said you were doing some work in Puerto Rico, and you were very open in having a conversation about the work Excelencia had done, and we were honored to be able to figure out ways to help. Because the work that we do and the work we know you all do is so much more than any one of us. It's not about the credit, it's about making a constructive, positive difference, informing and compelling action. And DL, I felt like you really did that when you took on this conference, when you reached out and continued to reach out, pushed everyone in thinking about what it means to be here in Puerto Rico. And while I am part of a group, and I think on behalf of the entire current staff, board, and previous staff, some who are here with us, we thank you for thinking about us, for considering the work that we do. We do it because we believe it matters. Sarita Brown and I started Excelencia almost 18 years ago because we saw a need. We'd be in these public policy conversations in Washington, D.C. and elsewhere. And if they talked about who the students were in these grand discussions about what we need to do to improve student success, if they wouldn't talk about who the students were, the strengths, the opportunities, their needs, and we saw students increasingly were going to be looking like us and not like the people who were making those decisions. And if they talked about us, it was a footnote or an aside, and it's very deficit-based. And we completely rejected that framing and that perspective. And when we didn't see that conversation going on, we decided we needed to create something to initiate, to start that conversation going, to be strength-based, to abate the ignorance and that negativity we saw about our community. And we needed to be in the room where it happened. And we needed to just use data, but go beyond data, because data can be misconstrued and misinterpreted if you bring a traditional profile and perspective to data that speaks to a community that doesn't fit your profile, your antiquated traditional profile. That's been the journey we've been on, is to find ways to bring voice to a community. And in doing so, from our perspective, communities across the country, because it's about us, but it's also about so much more. And we always believed if we could talk about our community in ways and about issues that seem intractable in policy and in research, can we get people to rethink these intractable issues in different ways? Can we reframe the issues, the topics, rethink the conversations? I know, DL, when we spoke and I talked about, well, we talk about being post-traditional. We don't want to be non-traditional. That's negative. That's deficit-based. Being post-traditional means we're next level. We're not going back to that. How are we embracing the community now and making sure that we understand not just their strengths and the challenges, but the opportunities? And how do we invest in that rather than the perpetual crises? Because we know at Excelencia, people throw money at crisis, but they invest in opportunity. How do we frame our community in a way that is understood? And I will say 18 years ago, focusing on our community was not very sexy. We were the outliers. What I see now is a different engagement conversation. And the hope that I know in all of you when you talk, but that we are committed to, is addressing the systemic inequities that preceded us, but knowing those things are happening on our watch. And the element, the idea behind Excelencia is that we have to take responsibility for making sure that our community is seen and heard. We need to frame the opportunity to engage, and we need to inform, compel action, hold folks accountable, and not give up in making sure that our community and everyone who needs an opportunity receives that in a way that can contribute to themselves, their families, their communities. So thank you for acknowledging Excelencia. Thank you for this recognition. For us, it's the work that must continue, and so grateful to be in community where this is not an ancillary or a side thing, but it's core to who all of you are and core to us. So thank you very much.